Today we're going to talk about Facebook micro-targeting and how Facebook micro-targeting is not the same as it used to be, and there's an insane way to do micro-targeting on Facebook that'll get you the perfect audience to target for your brand so you cannot not make money on the Facebook platform. I'm going to give you real examples here. This isn't just speculation and fluff information here. Real examples of where we did this exact thing for companies that we've already represented before, how we were exactly doing it. With that information, you'll be able to replicate this for your own company, regardless of what you're selling. Product, service, selling to companies, selling to individuals, doesn't matter. And at any price point, this micro-targeting strategy is the one to go to when Facebook's targeting options aren't quite suitable enough for you to be able to make a return from your ad spend. If it's not obvious already, and if you've never seen my videos before, I talk about all the time when you're talking about running online ads, outside search engines, everything comes down to that audience. Can you find the audience that will work for your company and what you're selling? Why is that? Because every time your ad gets shown to somebody who doesn't want what you have, where you have no chance of selling anything to that person because they just don't have the interest, that's not the type of person who buys your product or service, you're wasting money. You end up with too much of that waste. You cannot make money even if there are buyers in the audience that you're targeting. Everything comes down to, can you target finite enough or a small enough amount of people that are just home run prospects to get it in front of, to where what you're spending to get on your ads in the first place will produce a profit. If you get it narrowed down enough, you'll make money. If you don't get it narrowed down enough, you won't make money. Assuming you have a good offer, good product, all the rest of it is, there's people out there that want to buy it. You got to get the targeting dialed in enough and nailed down enough where you're not spending your money, wasting your money, advertising to all these people that will never buy it. So a lot of times that comes down to, which one I'm going to talk about in this video, selling to people who already bought similar products to what you have before. Not a lot of people talk about this at all. They talk about how, they're interested in my product, let's try to sell to them my product. Even better than that is targeting people who already have bought a product like yours, indicating that they're willing to spend money. They're in, I call it being in heat. This is something I also picked up from Dan Kennedy. If you know anything about him, this is when somebody has bought something in the recent past, they're more likely to buy again because they're in a buying mode. And targeting somebody who's bought something that normally gets bought frequently, either directly after, ultimately, if there's something that people buy normally right before they buy your product, or normally buy, if they buy this, they normally will buy your product, you can get in front of those people in a very short period of time from the time that they bought that other item. And for most of you guys, that would actually make you more money than going after people that are interested in that product or service, or could be interested because they're not proven buyers, ultimately. People don't talk about this anymore, but back in the days where you used to do mail order advertising, where you'd send something out, it was almost all predicated on selling to people who've already been proven buyers of other products or services that line up with the products or services that you're trying to sell. And that was like the only main way that it worked. You had to get access to someone else's customer list, and then you had to send it to them, and you would test the list. But basically it was all predicated upon people's past purchase histories. People don't do this online anymore, but you can, and you could do it on Facebook. Anyway, I'm going to explain all this, how this works, with the examples I'm going to give you. You have everything you need to be able to make some serious money in your business if you can't make Facebook work for your business because the targeting isn't right for you right now. As you may know, Facebook greatly cut back on the tracking methods that their advertisers that were available to their advertisers between like 2020 and 2022. There's a privacy debacle / issue that came up, and then they stripped away a good deal of all their targeting options, which they were really great targeting options. You could get people who were interested in very, very specific things, and it was great. And now is the glory days of Facebook. Facebook, when it started out, didn't have those targeting options. They started adding more and more and more and more, buying data from companies like Axiom, which are data brokers, which could, instead of just targeting people who have admitted what they like on Facebook, you could target people what they admitted they liked on other platforms, and then Facebook would buy that data, plug it into their Facebook user data, and then effectively you could get in front of people who you knew they were interested in your product or service because they said it someplace else. And then up to 2020, people got pissed off enough basically to where they complained, and then they stripped most of those, they undid what made Facebook ads great in the first place. Now, granted, Facebook ads, you can make plenty of money on there, right? Why? Because you're getting users' attention. It's not like a banner ad that they can easily ignore. And for the most part, we make a ton of money on Facebook still. But for certain businesses, niche businesses, it's not targeted enough nowadays to be able to make money. If you target a more broader audience, it's great because you have a way to get people's attention. You don't need super laser targeted advertising to not have a bunch of waste and get in front of people that would never buy your product or service. But nowadays, if you do need that laser targeted advertising, Facebook doesn't have it by default. Okay, so with that said, sure, Facebook still, like I said, has a lot of targeting options. Back, what they used to originally when they first started out offering advertising, where they would let you get in front of somebody whose birthday's coming up, or just recently had a kid, or recently moving because they admitted on the platform itself, as well as if they say they like golf, you can target them because they said it on the platform. For many companies, this simply though isn't enough of a precise enough targeting to make the amount of waste circulation, as we call it in the advertising space, limit or cut it down enough to where you can make an ROI from your ad spend. Generally speaking, the golden rule is that, this is my golden rule by the way, if you could target an audience where 1% of the people or greater that see your ad think your product or service is the greatest thing ever, and would that they would buy or ultimately would seriously consider it, or really would want to buy, you can make money with that audience. If you don't have that level of saturation of buyers in who you're targeting, you probably aren't going to make money. So a lot of things like a diet product, it's easy because everybody wants to lose weight and not everybody wants to do something about it, so that's kind of an oxymoron. But you get the general idea there. You don't have to get super sophisticated about your targeting to do halfway well, compared to if you're selling water skiing equipment. That's only a small percentage of people that do that, right? There might be 100,000 people in the U.S. that water ski. So, which in reality we're talking about, 0.2, 0.1% of the U.S. population. Well, you can't advertise to the general public like that, and the waste circulation is too much, and it drives down the ROI of your campaign past the break-even point. So, what do? The new way to do micro-targeting on Facebook is through rented lists. As Facebook doesn't let you target well enough now to be effective and have that 1% or greater saturation in your targeted list that you need to make money from your Facebook ads. Now, how does this actually work? Okay, I'm going to explain it to you now. Basically, in a nutshell, it's taking email lists, rented, acquired, whatever, and uploading those email lists, or phone number lists, by the way. You can do either. Sometimes we do one, sometimes we do the other, depending on what data we have access to. Then uploading that to Facebook and using that to target our Facebook ads. So we have all the beauty of being able to get people's attention easily on Facebook with the level of targeting that we can do through Google, or actually better than Google, but much more sophisticated targeting, so we can get in front of the exact people we want, and then on top of that, now have an ad that gets people's attention at a super high rate. So once we can get in front of the right people and then have a tool that immediately gets their attention, you can make a lot of money now. So email lists basically is the new way to do micro-targeting on Facebook, if you will, for a lot of you guys to make a profitable campaign for yourself. So to give you an example of how this works, so if you were running a political campaign, you hear about micro-targeting for political campaigns the most. In that type of situation, these people running these political campaign strategists, I don't hear people talking about it. I know that they're doing it, but the people that are in the know to, instead of using Facebook's neutered targeting capabilities there so that you can't do micro-targeting of people who like Barack Obama, for example, you go ahead and you get lists of people who, for instance, have donated to the Republican Party, and you target them on Facebook. You just get their email list. You can find a list of people who have donated to the Republican Party either through data brokers. There's people that just deal in these lists. You can Google them, Google data brokers on Google to find access to some that can either get you them or find a way to get you those lists. Or you could, go straight to the source. The Republican Party representative, I don't know what they call it, but the place that ultimately runs the fundraising for the Republican Party, you could ask them and get them into a meeting how much to rent your list. Then you get that list. Now you don't have to worry about which targeting option gets me the most Republicans to get in front of them if that's what you want to do. You don't have to say, oh, well, it looks like I know Republicans like Cracker Barrel, so I'm going to target them. You don't have to do any of that. You can get an exact list of Republicans, because if they donated to the Republican Party, obviously they are Republican at that point in time. Or, what these people that are in the know will do is they'll actually find if you're running for a governor election, you find the past governor, if you will, if it's been somewhat recent, that most is like you and most aligns with your thoughts, and then you go ahead and get his list of all the people who donated to his campaign, and then just show up for them, because that would make the most sense. If they, for instance, DeSantis in Florida, if he wanted to do the most effective Facebook advertising, he would get access to Trump's list, because people who like Trump would be the most likely, or probably will also be interested in DeSantis, since they're both conservative-minded, far right, if you will, and just target all the people that like Trump. Then it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You don't have to do much convincing if you got a person who already likes your way of view, and then you're just making sure that you secure that's the easy vote to secure. They now know of you, bang, you got that vote. So that's one way to go about doing things. So anyway, you get an example from the political world here, which I don't deal with political stuff too much. I've helped people that deal with politicians. I don't deal with politicians directly, but I can tell you this is the type of stuff that works better nowadays on Facebook because of all the neutering. Second to this, real example here, we had a client who has a weight loss camp where this is like a drug rehab for people that are fat, basically. So you go there for 30 days, they do all this stuff. Some stuff is re-educating you on proper living, and some of it's, exercise, and they don't have any junk food there or whatever. I don't see the value or appeal of it, but that doesn't matter if there isn't a market for it. But this client, you can go after all the people on Google that are typing in weight loss camps. That's the easy low-hanging fruit, and I recommend everybody to do that first. You don't have to go to do Facebook ads right up front and make your life any harder than it needs to be. But search engine ads are only going to take you so far. You may be able to make that 2, 3, 4, 5 million a year off of search ads on Google, on Bing. Then what? Then what are you going to do? Now you got to figure out how to make money. Well, the most effective thing to do, which almost nobody's talking about, which this is not my technique, this is just old school marketing techniques, and back to that direct mail, mail order business that people have been doing 3 decades ago that nobody does nowadays. You contact the other weight loss camps and you tell them, I will pay $50 for every lead for every person who's contacted you and inquired about your camp that did not buy from you, in other words. So we call them lost opportunities in the marketing world. So to that weight loss camp, yes, it's my direct competitor, but it's a way for me to recoup my costs on my advertising. So if I'm running 50 grand a month on Google spend, I got all these leads coming in, and I sell, consistently 10% or 15% of those leads, right? And the other leads I just can't sell. Well, those people aren't going to buy from me anyway, most likely. Why not recapture some of that advertising spend that I spend that I know I'm not going to do anything with those leads, and sell them to this other party over here that'll pay me $50 for a lead. So basically, that's 20% of the advertising spend that I spend on an ongoing basis. That's recaptured just by reselling the lost opportunities to this other competitor over here. Because the reality here is this, and this wouldn't work for every market, and this is why, by the way, I'm giving you several examples here. But your direct competitors in a situation like that with a fat camp, or fat person's camp, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of ways to refer to that, but with that said, there's certain, like with the drug rehab world, it's the same situation. There's certain preferences that people have of a camp. Some people want to go to Miami to go to camp there because they like the weather there. Some people don't like humidity, so they want to go to Arizona. And yes, they can see that before they respond. Yes, that's right. But a lot of people will respond anyway and just want to hear like the pricing or whatever. Ultimately, my point is, at the end of the day, people that are not buying, if you have a proper sales process set up, they're not buying because there's fundamental things that you don't offer that somebody else offers, that why they got the sale and you didn't. So in that situation, you buy a lost opportunity from somebody else. They didn't have whatever to get that sale. Maybe you have it as one of the traits that you can offer. So if you don't offer if your offer isn't exactly the same, you'll often be able to get the sale that the other company couldn't sell, but you can. And maybe they already bought from somebody else, but maybe they didn't. A lot of times, 50% of those people never bought from anybody yet because they weren't sure, or nobody else had something quite what they wanted, or didn't have quite the price, whatever. So out of all the possible people that you could market to on Facebook, somebody who's already inquired about your competitor, indicating that they have money, well, we're assuming they have money, we'll just say, and they have interest to go to a camp, why would you not want to market to those people first? Outside of the search engine ads, that's the number one most profitable thing you're going to find to do. And we did it in that market. You just make a deal, and some people won't sell you the leads. A lot of people will. You'd be surprised. Get all those leads, put a Facebook campaign together explaining your offer, and you get some sales. It's really that simple. That's a way, and it's profitable. Cost per lead wise, I'm not going to talk about that necessarily, but it was profitable, just as profitable as the Google ads that we were running. Why? Because we got people that are actually likely to buy. We're not targeting people that are fat and hopefully we get them interested in a camp, because a lot of people who are fat will never go to a camp. And it goes back to that thing I said before. 1% of the people that we're targeting aren't buyers. So there's so much waste circulation there, we can't make money. You've got to find a way to micro-target your Facebook ads enough to where you can make money. So that's one example of what you can do to be able to make ads work on Facebook through micro-targeting there. Third example here for course sellers. So the easiest way to sell a course through display advertising on Facebook or elsewhere is to sell to people who have purchased other similar courses before. We had somebody who sold opportunity, they call it BizOp or business opportunity courses. So basically courses that show you how to make money. Obviously that's pretty sketchy space, but ultimately somebody who's a layup opportunity is somebody who just recently bought an opportunity course. You would think, well, they just bought an opportunity course that tells you how to make money with a business, startup business. Why would they want to buy another one? That is the best person to sell to. And that goes for almost everything in the information space. Once they're in that mode of buying and gathering information in that space, that's the best time to sell to them. Because what people do is they go in a rash of just, gathering information about a certain topic, and then they stop. If you can hit them in that time where their mind's made up, where they're going to do that research, and furthermore, you've got a list of people who are willing to spend money for that research, you got a home run. So in that case, in that market, people already know it for the most part. So it wasn't me having to sell that client per se. I just explained how this works more so in that market. But you just go to all your competitors. The same thing with the diet camp that I told you about. You go ahead and you basically, instead of lost opportunities, which we did that and you could do that. In this case though, the reason why I bring this up is we want the purchase list of all the other people that sold their course already. If they have a $2,000 flagship course that they sell and you really don't have much other than that, why would they not sell you their customer list to sell your course to them? They're not going to they're not going to squeeze out more from a customer than what they have, so why not? Even though you are competitors with them. By the way, the people that win in most businesses isn't the people who are the best marketers. It's generally the people who have the ability to have the highest lifetime value average in your market from the customers you have. The people that could get the most money on average from a customer wins. Why? Because there's a certain point when you are so skillful at getting the most or a lot of money from your average customer coming in, you could be fucking terrible at marketing and you'll still make money because you can afford to pay 5 times as much for a lead as anybody else. You could have a terrible Google campaign and still make money because your average lifetime value of a customer is so high. And one of the ways that you make more money is you do cross-sells, upsells, or in this case, you just sell your customer list to 5 other people who also want to sell courses to them. So in some markets, it's easy to get, when you approach them, to get the access to their customer list, to get the customer list. In other markets, it's going to be a foreign concept. What? My customer list? What? Why? And a lot of people won't even sell them to you. A lot of times, though, it just comes down to the price. If they don't want to sell and then you throw them a really high number, they'll reconsider it. But you get the general gist of this. If you're in a market where you could see people buying more than once, even a course, which, like challenge yourself. A lot of times they buy a product when they shouldn't need another one. They will buy another one just because they're buyers. And go after those people before anybody else. That's a great way to do micro-targeting on Facebook. To get their customer list, upload it to Facebook, target them with your offer. Another way to do Facebook micro-targeting is we had a company who sold, like I mentioned, water skis before. Water skis, wakeboarding equipment, all this stuff to people who like water sports. Where tubing, stuff on the water where you're going to, where you take a boat out and you're going to kiteboarding, stuff like that. Or not kiteboarding. Trying to think of, what is the name of that again? Where you, I'm drawing a blank here. Where you have the parachute that goes behind the boat and lifts you up in the air. Anyway, sold all kinds of water sports equipment, right? In this case, okay, and in a lot of you guys' markets, you won't even have to go negotiate or ask to buy a list from your competitors. Why? Because people already get this. There's data brokers out there like Nextmark mailing list, which will go to the other people and ask if they'll sell or rent or lease the customer lists, and then they'll post on their website so that anybody looking for a customer list of anybody who's interested in if anybody who's purchased water sports equipment in the recent past, you can access it for XYZ price. It's all there. Just go to and type into Google Nextmark mailing lists and you'll find the website. It's a search engine for just mailing lists. You could type in water skiing purchasers, for instance, and you'll get all the relevant lists, and a lot of times you'll find a hit there. 6,000 water skiing customers. And then what it'll also do is it'll also break down, so you don't have to just buy water skiing customer lists as is. it'll break down, do you want to only get males of the water skiing list? Do you only want people that are over 45? Do you only want from that list people who bought in the last 30 days, which they call that the hot list, which is the one you want, by the way. It's way more expensive, but it's way, way, way better. Why? Because in this situation where we're trying to sell our wakeboarding equipment, for example, even if all we sell is wakeboarding equipment, we want to sell to somebody who's buying tubing equipment, because they all, usually those purchases can go hand in hand. They're buying a bunch of water, sport equipment for a boat outing. Then if you target somebody who's bought water skis in the recent 30 days, statistically you'll know that they're likely to be buying more than just the water skis at that time, because the purchases come in bunches. You don't just buy one water ski or just water skis. Sometimes you do, but oftentimes you don't. You buy other stuff because you're in a mode of just buying some toys for your boat because you're going to be having a boat outing. So time is of the essence. You could, through that Nextmark mailing list, you could say, of your 100,000 customers you have, I just want the people who bought within the last 30 days. Yes, it's just 5,000, but you take that 5,000, you upload it to Facebook, and then you just target those people by itself. Because they've bought in water skis in the recent past, they're very, very likely to buy wakeboarding equipment. And that's another way how you can make money on Facebook and through micro-targeting. So we actually had a water sports equipment seller as a client, and that's exactly what we did. We didn't have to go directly to the end seller. We just went through brokers, got access to all the other buyers of other water sport equipment. And if you're wondering also why in this situation, why is it that water sports equipment sellers would sell their customer list, given they would be letting their competitors potentially poach their loyal customers? The reality is there's a lot of people that in this particular market, for example, not saying this is always the case, but if you had an offline water sports equipment shop, right? Because there's a lot of those right by the lake. The customers you get, you're probably going to get somebody who's at the lake buying, and then you're not going to see them again. So how much of a better way would it be that every customer you can get, you could sell that name for an additional $3 from every person who wants access to that name in the future? That greatly increases your margins being able to do that. And so that all the online sellers of equipment, which you don't actually, that's not really a direct competitor at the end of the day, can pay you for something that you basically had no cost to get that data, and it's just on top of any money that you're making through your little local shop. That's why people do it in a lot of cases. Why they sell their customer list to data brokers like Nextmark so that it's available to you. So bottom line, you can, like I gave you with the examples here today, you can go to a Nextmark and find your list there to rent to do your Facebook targeting, your micro-targeting. You could go directly to the companies, your indirect competitors or your direct competitors, and try to negotiate access to the customer list or leads that contacted them but did not turn into a customer, and do that. Or you can go to like third parties, like if there is, like with the political campaign, if you sell wakeboarding equipment, like the example that I gave you, you can go to a wakeboarding forum and say, hey, I will give you an additional, I'll give you $3 for every single email address that has signed up for your wakeboarding forum. And it's free money, basically. They don't have to do anything for those names other than export them from their database. And then now you got access to that list of all average wakeboarders. Then now, if you sell wakeboarding equipment, that's a pretty damn good way to do micro-target wakeboarders. Now, something like wakeboarding certainly may also be able to be targeted on Facebook, but if you can't, that's the second best way to do it. Just find somebody who, if it's not a competitor or indirect competitor, it's somebody who has access to those lists. The other way that you can do it is people who run a Facebook group. Is there a wakeboarding Facebook group? Okay, go to the moderator, and find out a way that you can get the email list of all the people of that access that run that group, or that are in that group from the person that runs that group. So you can have some different ideas. You don't have to just go to your direct competitors or indirect competitors to get access to a list that you can use to do Facebook micro-targeting. There's other ways to do this, so to say. But I gave you enough of examples here that I think you understand kind of what can work in your market, and ultimately, you know, what you can do. You can target your competitors by going directly to the lead brokers themselves, or you can work directly with the companies that are direct or indirect competitors, and hopefully they give you their own data to make more money. And if not, you can go to people that have access to people that are the type of people that buy from you anyway. So with that said, though, I'll pretty much wrap it up with that. That's Facebook micro-targeting now in a nutshell, and how you do it if the targeting that Facebook has isn't targeted enough to make money from your ads currently. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate if you would give the video a like and consider subscribing, as I have a lot of other content on this channel about how to make money with ads. It comes straight from the source of somebody who just manages ad strategy for clients, dozens of clients that I have at my agency on an ongoing basis. I don't sell courses, I don't do any of that other crap. I do ad strategy, and I have a Facebook channel on the side. So therefore the information is coming from the source. And it's the best information you're going to find on YouTube, truly, on how to make money with ads through Google, Facebook, and so forth. And if you like my channel, by the way, you'll love my blog. I got even better information there. You can see it's guaranteedppc.com/blog. You can find my written content there, as well as you can find my written content on entrepreneur.com via my column that I have there that I write. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days. Feel free to ask me any question you'd like about ads. Be happy to give back just for, you know, giving your time and watching the channel, helping us grow the channel. Beyond that, if you are looking for an ad manager or want a more specific strategy that will work to get you to the next level with your ads, contact my agency. I give free analyses on people's campaigns, and all the work that we do for clients is guaranteed, in that we don't charge fees up front until you get a certain amount of increased leads or sales results on your campaigns. So along with the analysis, I can give you a guarantee of minimum results before you pay. Nobody else in the whole ad industry does anything like this, but should tell you about the services that we actually provide. And the only catch is we don't work with just any client, of course. We want something that we know we can get results on for obvious reasons. But you know, you never know if we can work together unless you reach out. I'd be happy to speak with you on the topic. GuaranteedPPC.com is where you can reach out and request that kind of analysis from me. As a side, if you are looking for an ad manager, but you do want some better results, a lot better results, if we've worked in your space before, it would be silly not to take us up on our offer of us selling you a template of what works in your industry in terms of ads, campaigns, landing pages. As we started a kind of a side business doing this now, and we've worked in over 100 markets. If there's no conflict of interest between what where you're at and a client that we have, why not use our templates of what already gets success in your industry? It's already proven. We spent years building up results in your industry already, and then you could just use what works in your industry, of which we could tell you the results you would get with those templates before you ever purchase those templates from us. But you'll spend more money figuring out what we had to figure out than it costs for the template. So it would be your shortcut way to success. These templates work so good, people are using them to start side businesses and then sell the leads, or they will, more specifically, they'll generally outsource the work and then take 10% of the revenue coming in. It's kind of like a passive income business. So anyway, if you're interested in that type of thing, we have service campaign templates as well as e-commerce campaign templates, to where, like, if somebody in country A is using it, you can use it in country B, if you're wondering how that works. But anyway, if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I'll let you know what we've done in your industry, if we've done it in your industry, and what the templates might do for you and cost. I'll wrap it up with that, though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.